Now that I have my alpha made, saved, and found, I can open up SculptGL. I'm going to be doing this example on my old trusty mug here, but you could work on your exact sculpture. I would suggest testing it out first on a test object just so that you can get used to how it works and how it feels to use. So I have my brush tool open. I have thin surface front vertex only checked. And here our radius and intensity are going to work the same as they usually do with our brush tool. So if I have my intensity really low, my alpha is going to show up really faintly. And if I have it up really high, my alpha is going to be very prominent. I will show you exactly what that looks like. So down here we have a menu called Alpha. SculptGL will save your alphas that you import during a work session. So I have had my SculptGL open today and I have imported all of these alphas. Once you leave SculptGL, it will not be saving these anymore. So you'll have to re-import them each work session, but you'll be able to revisit them at any point during your work session. And once you want to stop using your alpha, you can just go click None, and it will revert back to the normal tool that you have selected. So I want to bring in the alpha that I just made in Google Draw. So I'm going to choose Import Alpha. And that is going to open up my Downloads menu, in which I'm going to look and find hair texture. I'll go ahead and import that. And I also want to bring in my text alpha that we just made. So I will choose that, open it. So now if I go back to my drop-down menu, both of those alphas are saved in here. So I'll just start with my hair texture alpha. And for this one, let's see what it looks like to have really low intensity. You see that hair texture is hardly showing up. It looks very faint on my object. If I turn up my intensity really high, I can really bring out that hair texture. And it looks much more dramatic than what it did before. So I'm just going to keep my intensity around 50, just because, but you can choose whatever works for you with intensity. Now, I want to show you something called lock position. So we're going to go over to our text alpha, and I'm going to uncheck lock position. Now, when I am using my brush tool, I'm clicking down and dragging, and it's repeating that alpha over and over again. So if I go back to my hair alpha, I'm clicking and dragging, and it is putting that hair texture all over my sculpture like a brush. If I have lock position selected though, and I go back to my text alpha and I click and drag, it's going to bring one version of that alpha and allow me to change the positioning and extrusion of it. So that is what you're going to want to use when you're doing text, and sometimes even with other textures, you'll want to have lock position selected. So here you notice that the circles that we made that were light gray are behind that text that was solid white, and our black background doesn't show up at all. That is how contrast is working with alphas. Again, always return to topology and remesh after you make a big change on your object. And now I have that text on my mug. So I'm going to go over to the other side here